Good morning. My name is Sam. I'm making this testimony from the United Arab Emirates. This is my boy, Rada Eriolua Ajibade. This is my testimony here. I'm going to start my testimony from when myself and my wife got married back in 2022. And shortly after that, we went to the hospital because we were trying to conceive, of course. And when we got there, met the doctor, did a test on my wife. The doctor said it was not going to be possible. In fact, the doctor said if we were to consider IVF, we are welcome to it, but we should not have hope about that. And she wrote us the names of a couple of contact information of some doctors that we could go to. I remember seeing my wife step out from the doctor's office. It was a very tough situation. She wasn't looking good, I could tell. And when we got into the car, I told her, I said, well, join your faith with mine and let's trust God that God is going to give us ours. That's God's intention for us to have our own baby. And I also told her, I said, I'm on this fire altar. On this fire altar, I've seen people that don't have wombs, have womb and then have babies. I've seen people that they've been looking for kids for several years and God came through for them. So my case is not going to be different. And this was what I held on to. I got back home. I went to a baby clothing store and I got baby clothes. All right. And I was using the baby clothes as, as a mantle. And I was just praying over them. And in February this year, she did a test and we realized that she was pregnant. Glory to God. Now, during the pregnancy period, the devil came. There was one time we went somewhere. We were on our way back. She needed to use the bathroom. I stopped by the gas station so that she could. And in that period or in that moment, she found blood, that she was bleeding. So I was worried, I was scared, drove her all the way to the hospital as fast as possible. The doctor checked her. The doctor said, that it's a sign of first labor and that there's a chance she might have to give birth to the child prematurely. And the doctor also said it won't be possible for them to give birth or for us to have that child in the hospital because the child is not up to the amount of weeks, minimum weeks for them to conceive there. And that was a big problem for me. I was scared, to be honest. And it was almost like I never had any faith. And you remember, I was the one who went to the clothing store to buy clothes and prayed about all this. But in that time, my faith disappeared. The doctor did say, though, that my wife would have to take an injection that would help the baby to grow lungs so that just in case, it can survive outside the womb. And we saw some side effects to it, which might be like depression or obesity much later in the life of the child. And my wife said no. Me, I was leaning more on the yes part because I don't want to lose it, right? And I called my doctor friend in Nigeria. She said the same thing, like, look, I would advise you guys to take it. But my wife called me back and said, look, you prayed for this boy on the fire altar, didn't you? Right. And God has given him to us, right? Yes. Have you ever known God to start anything and not finish it? So I summoned myself back to, my faith and, she was the one literally dragging my faith up in that time, and we did not take the injection, right? And at exactly the time she was supposed to have him, we had him. I mean, glory to God and all that. But see, the devil wasn't still done again. After we had him, I'd gone home to get some stuff. My wife was at the hospital with him. And when I got back, my wife said they came to do a ear test, eye test, and all that stuff for him. And I said, okay, how did that go? She said, they said he can't hear, that his ears are not working. I said, did you reject it? She said, yes. I said, good. But in my head, I was like, how could they possibly tell us this baby can hear us? I went back to God. I went back to the prayer altar. I said, God, you can't give me gift and take something out of it. You can't do something halfway for me. And I made a covenant with God. I said, they've asked us to come for another retest. By the time I'm going for this retest, confuse them. These boys here, everything has to be working fine, right? So the day before we went for the test, there was a bug in the bedroom, and it was laying down on my wife's lap. I wanted to swat the bug. So I took a piece of cloth to try and wipe it down from the window. As soon as I smashed it, it moved in my wife's hand. Now imagine, if he wasn't hearing, how did he know something, I was trying to do something like that? Or he must have heard the sound that startled him, right? So me and my wife, we just looked at ourselves in that moment and we smiled like, devil is a bastard. So we went to the hospital the next day. The first nurse came, put the thing in his ear, and she was at it for like 15 minutes, nothing. She went to call her Oga. Her boss came down. That one did the same thing too for several minutes, nothing. They went to call someone else again. Remember, I prayed that they should be confused. They went to call someone else again. This person came, did all this stuff again. At the end of the day, they just came back and said, oh, the baby's fine, he can hear, everything is great. I just want to say thank you to God. Like, I can actually pray for something and God came through. We couldn't be happier. His name is Rada, which means dominion. His middle name is Erioluwa, which means evidence, the proof of God. And this is him right here. We just want to say thank you, Pastor Jerry. Thank you for this prayer altar. Since I joined, I think back in 2021 or so, I haven't stopped being here. And you've been very consistent. I just thank God for that consistency that you have, for showing up every day, praying and building the faith of people all around the world.